G'day and welcome to Inforunners. I'm Execute, riding solo today. It's about almost 6 a.m. in the morning here in Australia. I thought I'd do a video on Stella Fortuna. So little Algrid is still sleeping, so I thought I'd do this one alone. So, kicking over to the browser, obviously with Stella Fortuna kicking off today, we've got a few things to look at. So, long story short, they've added in some new racing gear and some new skins. So this is a real break from tradition. We're normally used to getting all these green things, so like emerald skins and the what's classically known as the Fortuna paints. But they're changing it and now adding some racing things into the mix, which I think is a bit interesting. And I do think they are going to be the things of value in this sale, to be honest with you. The Fortuna items, they come around every year. They have some ridiculous packs here. I'm on the right one. No, I'm on the wrong one. The prices get a little bit insane if I can find them. They literally have packs that go into thousands of dollars. If I can find the right one. Yeah, these two. So they go, you can get all the ships in the pack for over $3,000. It's kind of crazy. They will not speak to everyone because they are this kind of metallic green look. But they are offering some skins that have traditionally been for sale in kind of on their own, so to speak. There does seem to be a skin also this year for the what do you call it, the P72 in the form of the Fortuna, if I can find the one I'm looking for. It was back here, but I have not been able to confirm yet if it is separate from the one that comes with the LTI Emerald, and that used to be called the Emerald skin, I believe. So I'm hoping that it is actually separate, because if it is the same, then that's very disappointing for anyone that picked them up in previous years, because you had to buy the ship with it. Now they're offering them on their own, which I think is a little different. We'll have to see. So yeah, they've got this Fortuna paint for $5 is what I was talking about. But it could also be a part of the pack. So again, if you know in the comments below, please let me know, because I haven't been able to ascertain that yet, essentially. So anyway, on to what I really want to talk about. We can go through all the ships and stuff, and I'll probably do that in a minute. But I think the value is actually in these racing sets. Some of them I do want to point out. So for example, the one right at the end is this Origin racing suit, and I'm very curious to know if it's actually the racing suit that came with the original Lightspeed pack that came with the 350R. If you go back and look at that from way back in the day, it came with an Origin racing suit, and I'm curious to know if that is that. These skins here for the ships, I don't think they're probably that interesting. I think it really is just these two, the Star Kitten. Now, Star Kitten was the only other one that we've ever got was for the Dragonfly, and that goes all the way back to like 2014. So this is the first time in over 10 years they've done another Star Kitten item, and I think that is the one that will probably increase in value. I think things like the Mirai racing suit and the Razor skin. Razor's a ship, like if you love low flying, really popular ship, but if you're not into that, I think the suit's going to be more valuable to most people because of the look of it. But again, if they offer these every year, we don't know. So that is the essential linchpin. Are they going to offer these racing suits every year, or is this a one-off and we never ever see them again? Do these go into the store and they're going to be permanently there? I don't think they will be, by the way. But they're the things you got to look at, right? Again, if you've got credit, purchase a bunch of these and melt them into buyback, and so it removes that limitedness and anyway. But these are the most interesting items to me personally. I would have liked to got some feedback from the other boys, but I just have not had time because of the nature of putting this up. So yeah, we'll go through the ships real quick. 400i, I think it's really overpriced for what it is, but you know, if you like luxury ships, that will be your jam. There's a few of them like this in here. We've got both the 600i's. It's much the same for this. I think these will be a lot better once they get their rework, but at their price point, you know, you can get a lot better industrial ships, for an example. Like that's more expensive than a reclaimer. And there are other ships you know, very little extra money, especially for the 475. You're looking at about $600 to get to a Carrack. So, you know, you're getting a much better ship in the Carrack for about $100 more, as an example. A2, insanely overpriced for what it is. I could never recommend the A2 at that price point, but I can get behind things like the C2, though they have gone up in price. But also, you got to remember, currently, right now, the Ironcladders are in concept at 435. So, and it carries twice as much cargo, and it's all enclosed as well. So if you start to add all those things together, the only advantage that this has is it does large vehicles where it only does medium. But you can also get the Ironclad Assault for a little bit more again, and that does just the vehicles, and it does a lot more of them than the Hercules. So again, weighing it all up, I think the Hercules days are kind of limited, to be honest. So they're going to taper out. Really fun ship in the Fury. The only problem with the Fury and the Fury LX is there is no jump drive on this thing. Also being more expensive than most of the starter ships, I find it a really hard pill to swallow. But if you've got other ships, you know, and you want a bit of fun, a bit of racing, stuff like that, it's quite good. But I cannot recommend based on its price point. Same thing with the MX, which is just another Fury. The Hammerhead, $725. I think for that price point, you have got better ships that you can grab around that price point. The Nautilus is not out, and it's at the same price point, so that's obviously going to go up in value. You know, the Perseus is not out yet. That's cheaper, so I'm actually expecting the Perseus to come up around this price point. It'll probably be a little bit above this, but again, I think the Perseus is a much better ship. So again, at that price point, not the best, and being mainly a turret ship, it's really hard to cycle people through different seats because of them all doing the same thing. So yeah. Right, the M2. I do actually think with the Hercules series, this will end up being the Hercules of choice due to the armor. At $520, though, it is a bit steep. You are probably better off to get a Liberator at that price. Liberator being $575, not being out yet, but it also carries 2 vehicles and 2 small ships and a tiny ship, or an S1 and 2 S2s. And again, it falls into the same thing as the Ironclad as well, being cheaper, or the Ironclad Assault for only a little bit more. So yeah, again, Hercules Days kind of number, but that is probably the best version of the Hercules series. MSR, I think this is probably one of the first good ones we've seen. So the MSR, $260, Data Runner, it basically carries the most cargo out of those 4-person ships in that price point. So those other 2 ships being the Corsair and the Connie. We've got the Raelian coming around the corner, and that will probably pip it at the post for cargo, carry a lot more. And you also do get data running in this as well. So it's not as combat focused as the other ships, but again, if you are into data running and cargo, this is an easy win. And it is a very running ship. It does have some little flaws, but they will get fixed as they go through gold passes, etc. The Mustang, right? The Mustang is going to be the Gamma, so it's the racing variant. This is essentially just a skin version of the Alpha as well, which is the one that you can't get anymore. Not the Alpha, sorry, the Omega that you can't get anymore. If you're into racing, I do think there is unfortunately better racing ships though. Again, at $55 though, it kind of shows you how bad the Fury is, being exactly the same price. The Archimedes, this falls into the same problem as the Fury. It does not have a snub, but I would say as racing snubs go, it is probably one of the best racing ships in the game at the moment, just due to its maneuverability. But again, it does not have a jump drive, so that causes some problems as well. Right, the Pulse, and I've got the LX. I don't know if I've got the normal Pulse in here, but the LX, the thing about the Pulse is essentially it's the smallest hover ship, or not hover ship, hover bike in the game, and that has huge advantages. It can fit into areas that others can't. That said, though, I'd probably prefer the normal Pulse, which has the gun on it, to the racing variant. But if you want an A to B vehicle, this is more than adequate. I still think the best hover bike, though, is the Dragonfly. Razor, again, as I said earlier, this is really good for low flying, but it's probably not the best version. I think this is the best version of the Razor, because this has military connotations. It's kind of like a stealth variant. It's not as good at racing as the other 2 variants, and if you want the racing one, you might as well just get the white one. The blue one has no real reason to exist. It's kind of weird. The black one, though, has a lot of stealth paint and stealth components, and it'll eventually have espionage ramifications. So you can essentially, you know, go into an area, scout it, and get the hell out and report back to people and tell people what to shoot and stuff like that. So that's kind of what it's going to be at the end of the day. I guess you could still use it for racing a little bit. And if you're just doing low flying, again, you could use that to do it now. But the price of these things is quite high for what they are. That is the same price as a Prospector. And I think you'll get a hell of a lot more gameplay out of a Prospector than you will a Razor. Right, the Redeemer, $330. I think a lot of people are probably not going to like this ship as much with kind of how it is. It's gone into a kind of SAS or SEAL type role. It's a drop ship or an insertion ship. At the moment, its default stance, though, isn't a long-range escort. It does have modularity on the bottom, so you can, again, the most likely module they're going to give it is the original planned drop ship module. And again, it seems to be more of an insertion craft or escort craft, where the Paladin that's now came out that kind of goes side by side with this is an actual fighter. So again, in the game right now, I think the Paladin would be the better. I think this ship will have its heyday down the road. So if you're wanting a ship for now, it would probably be the Paladin, but I own a Redeemer as well myself. It's got some flaws, and it's had a bit of a nerf recently, but it's they nerfed the guns, but kind of buffed all the movement of it. I really like it, but it's not for everyone. But it is quite expensive. But the other way to look at it is you can get an F8 for $300, and that's a single seat fighter. This holds 4+ people. So, you know, like for $30, I'll take that. You can also get a Caterpillar for the same price as this as well. So you got to put that into thought patterns as well. The Vanguard, not in the best place. Is it all Vanguards? Yes, it is all the Vanguards. So basically, they kind of suffer a little bit from old itis, and they have these weird bespoke nose guns, and they just have some issues. A lot of people, it was one of the most popular ships when it was announced, but it's just very ever so slowly going out of favor. You know, you've got it's essentially a long-range Gladiator in the Harbinger. But again, you're paying like almost twice as much as you pay for the at least 1.5 times, about $100 more than the Gladiator. And again, the Gladiator has 2 people as well. It's just not as long distance. So you're paying for a niche to get that long distance. And you could always take the Gladiator on an aircraft carrier of sorts or carrier and get yourself to there anyway. So it's super niche. The Hoplite is kind of like, again, a little bit what the Redeemer is meant to do with the dropship module. It drops about 6 people off, but exceptionally long range. The Redeemer can do it, but probably not as long as range. And the Redeemer's, it's obviously got a smaller signature than the Redeemer and stuff like that. So again, this is probably the worst version of the Vanguard by a long shot. Sentinel is where the Vanguard is at. This is an e-warfare ship. We only have, I think it's one of the only e-warfare ships actually we have. My head. I think there might be one more, but I'm forgetting. But long story short, it is the version that I'd be getting if I got a Vanguard. The Warden is the default version of the Vanguard. It's essentially just a long-range fighter. That's it. It's pretty simple. Again, I think there's much better ships out there for $260. Like we looked at the MSR before, and that is much bigger, does a lot more. Yeah, you'll get a lot more for your money. And we're done. So I think that kind of wraps it all up for there. All I really wanted to do today was really highlight the essential racing gear and stuff like that, because we've not seen those before, especially the Star Kit and stuff, because they are going to be a hot commodity. I don't know how hot they're going to be down the line. But again, if you've got credits sitting around, buy up a bunch of stuff and 24 hours later, just melt it into buyback. You get all your credits back, and essentially you can then buy it at another time. I'm going to tell you exactly what I did. I brought 5 of all the racing suits, all the racing skins, everything, and I'll melt them all off tomorrow. It cost me like $365 in credits, but I'll melt them off tomorrow and I'll have all those credits back, so it's no biggie. But that's what I'm going to do, and I keep doing that with skins, so it just removes that limited factor for me. So let me know in the comments below, do you think those racing suits are going to appeal in value? You know, I don't think the new green skins for me really spoke to me, because they're just kind of a bit of the same old. I do like the armor that they did though as well. I thought that was pretty cool. But yeah, I thought I'd just do this video mainly for the racing suit stuff. So yeah, let me know what you did in the comments and if you got any yourself. So other than that, I'll see you, citizens. Bye.